This communication harness is unplugged.
The 6 fuse, and that is definitely terminal 15. Put this in, connect the battery. So the ignition is on, which is something we didn't have before. I'm just gonna go for it. No I bought an Audi Q7 for $1,700. They needed a fuse and it needed a connection plugged in. Let's button this up. I am so excited right now. I have no words. So to add to that fuse and connector issue, there's definitely just like some weird stuff going on with this car with whoever worked on it before. The way this front seat is set up, the back two mounts are just hinges. The hinge is bolted down and then the rest of the seat can just rotate on it. That way you can move the two front bolts in order to access the battery. It would just tilt back. The rear mounts are completely unbolted. So I can just do this, and this is basically how they've been driving around. As you can see, I'm using my head to push the seat up because this way I have better access to this bolt. My head is pretty useful sometimes. Starting to think that the only reason why previous owners had to get rid of this car is because they had relatively incompetent shop work on it. I met the person that was at their front desk because I was letting them know that the car is going to be picked up in like a couple of days, making sure they don't mind, and they didn't. They were super nice. But as far as their knowledge of German cars goes, they are probably just not very proficient at it. Okay, that is much better. I pretty frequently get asked, why do I only try to buy Audis and Volkswagens? But that's exactly the reason. Once you find that one niche and you specialize in it, and you'll learn so much about one brand and its quirks and features, you're going to be able to figure out exactly what's wrong. I mean, obviously, sometimes it's going to take a lot of work, but it is going to be doable. People who only work on American cars or cars that are of a lower standard than this, they immediately think that something major is wrong and they don't check basic things just because of their lack of experience. Unless, of course, I'm just a genius. I won't confirm or deny that, but I kind of doubt it. It's still idling very well. I don't smell anything weird. I don't hear anything weird. In fact, it sounds extremely well. Very quiet, normal VR6 engine. Okay, enough talking. I really want to take it for a drive. One of the engine codes I'm getting is brake vacuum pump activation, and that's also likely why we have a weird startup idle. Vacuum is important at idle. So let's just drive. It drives absolutely beautifully, smooth as butter. I do have a flashing ABS light. Oh, that's probably because of the brake activation vacuum pump or whatever, but the brakes work fine. I am so excited. So, by the way, I haven't really told you what we plan to do with this car, but this is gonna be Kira's new car because her Toyota I cannot stand. It's a pain to work on. Actually, there's gonna be a lot more on this later. I'm gonna make a dedicated video about this, so just stay posted to that. I spent no money on fixing this. I did buy parts, but turns out I didn't even need them. The worst part about this car is the interior. It is really dirty. A lot of ash, a lot of tobacco. That's kind of nasty. Yeah, I don't know. Did they use this as an ashtray? I don't know how else you would get all this tobacco in there. Unless you smoke the forbidden stuff, of course. I don't know. And I don't care. We can clean that. I think my first priority should be figuring out that ABS light. $1,700 car, guys. I'm also definitely gonna need to buy hood shocks for this. There's a dedicated vacuum pump for the brake system. Maybe there's a harness for it that's open or shorted, or just a bad electrical connection. There's a fuse for it. Since we already know that there's plenty of weird fuse situations in this car, I'm definitely gonna take a look at that first. Maybe under the hood, that would kind of make sense. So there's this fuse box right here. There is this blown 15 amp fuse. So the fuse that was out is this number 18 over here. What is that for? Please be for brake related things. Vacuum pump for brakes. This is unbelievable. That's it. We just fixed that issue. Sure, it is possible that it's gonna blow the fuse again. Technically, fuses shouldn't blow by themselves, but it is possible. Cross our fingers and hope that that fuse stays good forever. I'm gonna throw this back on, and then I'm going to start it up. Go on another drive and see if this issue comes back. Hello. We have no more faults for the engine. We came back from the drive, there was no issues at all. So on that beautiful note, please like, subscribe. It's very easy for you to do, and it helps me understand whether or not I'm doing well. It's really important right now at the beginning of this channel for me to receive feedback from you guys and understand what you like, what you don't like. Please drop a comment if you have a good idea that I should do or something I should do differently. In fact, I'm more than happy to get constructive criticism. KJ is going to be home in about an hour, so hopefully I'm going to be able to make the car a lot more presentable than it is right now when she gets here, because she obviously knows that we have this car, but she knows it's not running. She also knows that I am perfectly willing to trade her Toyota for this, but she has no ETA on the car. She doesn't know when it's going to be fixed. I personally didn't know when it's going to be fixed. I was expecting to have to fix the whole steering lock module, but when she gets home, we're probably going to go take it on a drive and see how she likes it. So once she gets home, we're going to surprise her, tell her that it's running and driving, and that we can take it for a little test drive, which is why I really want to clean the car up to make this experience as good as I possibly can. Let's get to it. I have a different idea. Hi. I think we're ready for KJ. It seems like she's running late. So to make this more believable, I have to move the Q7 into the corner spot because that's where it used to be. This way KJ won't notice that it moved and she won't know that it's drivable. I've got to try and hide this mic so that she doesn't know that I'm recording when she comes home. Is this gonna work? I don't know if you can hear me very well. I don't know, does that look very visible? I see her car, she's pulling up. I feel like she might be a little underwhelmed. I don't know. Let's see. Hey B. Guess what? It's done.
It's done?
Yep.
How is it done?
It started.
Oh.
Yeah. I got it. Let's go take it for a drive. Howdy, girl.
We're getting Dairy Queen.
Are you excited about that more than the car? Or...
In this...
No? Okay, good.
How is it?
I'm very excited.
That hesitation.
I know you don't care that much about cars, but like...
No, it's very exciting.
My theory is that most people feel that way until they drive a car they really like. Once you find something that you really enjoy driving, like it's impossible to like not love cars. To turn off AC, you hold this button down.
I'm not watching them drive.
Okay. Well, usually people can do both.
Yeah, you shouldn't. That's not what you should promote to your viewers.
Fair enough.
Arden's been arrested. Wasn't grand that
Nope. Or DUI, I don't think that. I'm pretty open about it. I was arrested for street racing.
It's definitely better just... Maybe it's just because it's not heavy, it breaks easier. Again, I think it's just the weight I handled the car. I don't think it's the car's fault. It just...
But just like the pleasure you get out of it, let's say 0 to 10, what would Sequoia be?
I love being so high.
Smoke weed every day.
You just look down.
I mean,
at
you're
those
pretty high
four...
here. Well, I guess not nearly as high, that's true, yeah.
I look down on those peasants.
Yeah.
Like, I can run you over.
It's completely up to you. If you want to keep that, you can.
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
I'm an Audi fan.
Try.
Going to Dairy Queen, I picked out this destination for new cars first trip? We'll have to name it.
Ooh, good question.
I'm not gonna start backing into spots like a total douchebag.
Q. Are there names
No.
with Q? No Q names?
Quinn,
Quinn? I like
maybe. So cool. I
Yeah.
do feel cool.
Yeah.
It makes me feel
There's
like
a
rich
status.
bitch.
There's a status with Audis.
There is.
Even though it's about the same value,
Celebrity.
such a show off.
Look at you.
You notice got rid of red fog light things?
I didn't.
Do you like that? Like, okay.
I literally it bothered you. It didn't.
You don't care? Okay.
You were the one who's like, "F***ing idiots! They put them on backwards." I'm like,
No. The logos, yes. The logos I got rid of. I'm talking about the little red inserts that were in here. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I painted them black.
Really indifferent. I think it looks great. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay.
I owe you my life.
I'm so glad.
They tried doing like little modifications on this thing.
Like the most pointless.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like those turn signals they put in. I mean, obviously one of them stopped working. Like up front, you know how it's LEDs.
I don't.
I have so much to teach her. If there is anything you should learn from this video, it's probably that you should be really mindful of who your mechanic is and what his experience level is. I definitely would recommend going to somebody more specialized in European cars if you have a European car, because like I said, this was a very severe misdiagnosis. At least that's what it seems like right now. They quoted this lady $5,000 when the issue was one disconnected plug and one missing fuse. I think she's the one to mess up the fuse situation. Like I said, she mentioned to me that she had a fuse blowout for the cigarette lighter and she ended up swapping some fuses around to replace that. And well, you can see how that worked out. She ended up pulling a very important fuse that basically made the car unusable. If you don't work on your own cars, which I would strongly recommend before any other mechanic. But if that's not an option for you, then please just find somebody who knows what they're working on. In this case, I'm not going to disclose what shop did the work on the car. But regardless, those like little generic auto shops are not always the greatest idea, especially if you have something that is a little more quirky than an average car. These are known for having electrical issues, and it's not really as bad as people make it sound, but when you do have an electrical issue, you really need to know what you're doing in order to fix them. Obviously, you could go to a dealership, they would know best, but they're going to charge you way too much. So I would probably recommend going to a shop that just focuses on European cars. Unfortunately, I know that in remote areas it is really hard to find those shops. Frequently you won't even find a mechanic who is able to work on a car. This case was pretty much that situation because this was about an hour away from me and it was in a relatively remote area. DeKalb, Illinois, if you're familiar with it. I don't know, there's probably like a dealership out there somewhere, but I think the previous owner was just more concerned about the convenience of going to somebody closer rather than driving 20 minutes to an actual shop that knows what they're doing. Or maybe the previous owner just didn't know any better. So please be educated about these issues. Things like fuses is something you can check yourself. In my case, I started from nowhere. I had no mechanical education. Don't have anyone in my family who works in cars. And basically, as soon as I just bought my first car, when it had issues, I would just look them up on YouTube. We have internet and it's a great resource of information and it's very, very useful to have that. I learned everything I know from the internet in conjunction with actual physical experience, but obviously without the internet I probably wouldn't have the courage to start working on cars myself and would have never been able to gain all this invaluable, is that the word? Let's say priceless experience that I have now after working on cars myself for, oh wow, I'm pretty old. I'm turning 26 a week from now and I've been doing this for at least 8 years. And yes, at first you're not gonna know what you're doing, you're gonna mess things up, you're gonna break them, but that's the only way you'll learn, and that is the importance of doing this by yourself because you'll get to learn from your mistakes. Whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best of luck. I will see you next time.